Dan Perry is a former regional editor for the Associated Press, who also served as chairman of the Foreign Press Association of Israel. He joins us now from Tel Aviv. Good to have you with us. Describe what it was like there in Tel Aviv when this missile hit.
Well, I guess it was just before 4 in the morning, and we heard sirens, and my wife dragged me to the stairwell that functions as a sort of safe space in the building, and the sirens go on for about a minute, and then basically hear an explosion. Now, generally, the explosions have to relate to interceptions overhead. The past 2 times, on Wednesday and again yesterday, they were louder and nearer, and basically both were because of hits on the ground.
So how vulnerable does Israel feel to these sorts of attacks? Because they keep coming, don't they? This is the 3rd this week.
You know, Israel feels like it's dealing with fanatical maniacs that don't operate by the normal calculus of incentivization. There is a sense that the Houthis actually want Israel to fully destroy their ports in order then to go to the U.S. community, global community, and end up having global broadcasters slapping the label genocide in Yemen up on the screen. They don't know what to do. But I do believe that they are going to escalate their response. They're currently, I'm pretty sure, scrambling for intelligence on the Houthi leadership and their strategic installations. And there is also, I think, an expectation that the world community will wake up before Israel finds itself fully at war with Yemen, which I don't think anyone wants. And there is a massive international interest in doing this because of the Houthi harm to global maritime trade.
Absolutely. But I mean, the Houthis do say that they're launching these attacks in solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. Is there not a thought in Israel that if they bring a ceasefire in Gaza, these attacks will then stop?
No, there is not a sense that it's legitimate for a country 1,200 miles away to be attacking Israel in solidarity with a third party that itself attacked Israel. No, that doesn't work. I don't expect them to act differently vis-a-vis Gaza because of this incentive that the Houthis are providing. I expect them eventually to move to crush the Houthis. And I repeat, I actually do assess from a global perspective that it is in the interest of Egypt and of the West to act instead of Israel, because Israel tends to dilute the legitimacy and introduce complications with people in the region who think, as the Houthis do, that Jaffa is occupied. So there's not much to discuss with them. The world has its own accounting to be done with the Houthis, who have, as I say, impeded 1/3 of global container traffic. It's cost Egypt billions of dollars. So with all due respect to the Houthis' passion for solidarity with the Palestinians, this is fanaticism. And at the end of the day, there is a strong argument for responding in kind.
But it would be interesting, wouldn't it, to see if that is the case, because there are more optimism about a potential ceasefire deal now than there has been in many, many months. Say that does take effect in the coming weeks. Might we then see a reduction in these attacks from Yemen? And is it not worth waiting to see whether that happens before taking further action?
I'm not so sure, because Israel and the world actually have normalized Houthis' attacks on vessels heading up towards the Suez Canal. And that is not a weapon I think the world wants to hand an Iranian-backed militia that's occupied 2/3 of Yemen. No. It seems unreasonable. And it shouldn't be, I don't think it should be neither normalized nor rewarded by any change of Israel's strategy towards Gaza. I favor ceasefire, for sure. And I'd like the ceasefire to be full and not in stages, and in the full exchange of full release of the hostages, and not in phases designed to prolong the war, which I'm not so sure Netanyahu doesn't want to engineer as such. No, I think Yemen is a separate problem. The Houthis' actions, supposedly in solidarity with the Palestinians, cannot be normalized nor accepted and should be punished. And I do think that the factors that contributed to the democratic defeat in November are many, but the weakness that Biden has shown on foreign policy, with players like the Houthis, played into that. I mean, in the end, the election was rather close, so every factor that moved 1% of the vote could have been decisive. This was one of them, and I believe Trump knows that. And so, if the Houthis are calculating that they can somehow get away with this because the war on Gaza will end, they may think again that the Trump administration, when it comes into power, simplistic thinkers though they may be, sometimes it's helpful not to overthink And when you have a criminal, you put him in jail.
OK, Dan Perry, many thanks indeed for joining us there from Tel Aviv.